Jenna's truck died on a lonely Nebraska road, stranding her with a failing business and fading dreams. A rundown garage offered hope or trouble. One step inside, and her life would never be the same. Have you ever felt like the whole world's ganging up on you? Like your job's a dead end, your bank account screaming for mercy, and then just to rub it in, your beat-up old truck decides to call it quits in the middle of nowhere? That's exactly where Jenna Morales found herself, one sweltering June afternoon in 2025, stranded on a dusty stretch of Nebraska road with nothing but a coughing engine and a whole lot of regrets. But sometimes when life leaves you high and dry, the fix you need isn't just for your truck, it's for your soul. Picture this, a ribbon of cracked asphalt, cutting through endless fields of corn, the kind of road where you don't see another car for miles. Jenna, 27, with her dark hair pulled into a messy ponytail, slumped against the steering wheel of her '98 Dodge Ram. The engine had sputtered, wheezed, and then died with a final, pathetic groan. She could still smell the burnt oil, feel the heat radiating off the hood. Her phone had one bar of service, and the nearest tow truck was a good hour away. This truck was her lifeline. It hauled mulch for her landscaping gigs, carried crates of daisies and roses for her fledgling flower delivery side hustle. Without it, she was as good as done. Jenna's dad, a retired mechanic, used to say, "A good truck'll take you anywhere, but a bad one'll teach you how to live." Right now, all this truck was teaching her was how to curse in Spanish under her breath. She should have listened to him, traded this rust bucket in years ago. But money was tight, and dreams don't come cheap. She squinted into the shimmering heat, her hazel eyes catching a glint of something up ahead. A weathered sign, half hidden by overgrown weeds, Cal's Auto Shop, honest, fixes, no BS. She'd passed it before a ramshackle garage that looked like it hadn't seen a fresh coat of paint since Reagan was president. It wasn't much, but it was her only shot. Jenna grabbed her water bottle, locked the truck, and started walking the gravel, crunching under her work boots. The garage came into view, a squat building with peeling red paint, and a yard littered with old tires and rusty car parts. A faded American flag hung limp over the door. From inside, the twang of a country song drifted out, mingling with the clank of metal. Jenna hesitated, wiping sweat from her brow. She wasn't exactly a car person. Her world was soil and pedals, not wrenches and oil. But she squared her shoulders, took a deep breath, and stepped into the shadowed interior. "Hello," she called, her voice echoing off the concrete floor. "Anybody here?" A figure emerged from behind a lifted Chevy, wiping his hands on a rag so greasy it was practically a biohazard. He was older, maybe 60, with a face like weathered leather and a shock of gray hair under a faded John Deere cap. His blue eyes sized her up sharp and unamused. "Truck trouble." He grunted, his voice low and gravelly. Jenna nodded, feeling like a kid caught without her homework. "Yeah, it just died on me. Out on Route 12. About a mile back. Won't start. Won't do nothing." He didn't smile, didn't offer a handshake, just jerked his head toward the door. "Let's take a look. Name's Cal, by the way. Jenna Morales," she said, trailing after him as he stalked toward a tow truck parked out front. They drove in silence, the cab smelling of coffee and motor oil. Cal didn't bother with small talk, and Jenna was too nervous to try. When they reached her Dodge, he popped the hood with the efficiency of a surgeon, his hands moving over the engine like they knew every bolt by heart. She stood awkwardly, arms crossed, as he muttered to himself. "Battery's shot," he said, finally straightening up. "Probably a drain on the system, too. Alternator's looking rough. Gonna need parts, and it ain't gonna be cheap." Jenna's stomach dropped. "How much we talking?" Cal scratched his jaw, squinting at her. "Battery's $100, labor's another $50. If the alternator's gone, add $200 more, plus tax." Her mind raced, tallying up her dwindling savings. Rent was due next week, and she'd just paid off a late utility bill. I don't have that kind of cash right now, she admitted, her cheeks burning. Can you, I don't know, work with me? I can pay in installments or something. Cal's eyes narrowed, and for a second, she thought he'd tell her to get lost. Then he sighed, tossing the rag over his shoulder. Look, I don't run a charity, but I need this place cleaned up, tools, organized, floor swept. You help out, I'll cut you a deal. We square. Jenna nodded quickly. Deal. When do I start now? He said, climbing back into the tow truck. Let's get this heap back to the shop. The next few hours were a blur of dust and sweat. Jenna hauled boxes of spare parts, scrubbed oil stains off the floor, and tried not to flinch when Cal barked orders like "Pop that hood," or "Hand me the half-inch socket." She felt out of her depth, her hands clumsy with tools she barely knew how to hold. Cal wasn't exactly patient either. When she dropped a wrench with a loud clang, he shot her a look that could have melted steel. "You always this graceful," he muttered. "Sorry," she mumbled, picking it up. "I'm more of a plants and flowers kind of girl." He snorted, turning back to the engine. Figures. By late afternoon her arms ached and her t-shirt was streaked with grime. But the truck's battery was replaced, and Cal was hooking up a diagnostic tool to check the alternator. Jenna leaned against a workbench, sipping lukewarm water when her phone buzzed. It was her mom, her voice crackling through the spotty connection. "Mija, when you coming back to Omaha?" her mom asked. "This landscaping thing, it's not working." "I saw a job at the bank. Good benefits, Ma." "I'm fine," Jenna cut in her voice, sharper than she meant. "I'm handling it. You're stubborn, just like your dad." Her mom sighed. "Call me later, okay?" Jenna hung up, her chest tight. She loved her mom, but the pressure to give up her dream to trade her muddy boots for a cubicle felt like a noose. She glanced at Cal, who was scribbling something on a clipboard, and wondered if he'd ever had to fight for something no one else believed in. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Cal handed her a bill. "200 even," he said. "I'll hold off on the alternator for now, but you're on borrowed time with that thing. Bring it back next week. We'll poke around some more." Jenna nodded, fishing out crumpled bills from her wallet. "Thanks, Cal, for not kicking me to the curb." He shrugged, already turning away. "Don't get sappy on me, kid. See you next week." She drove home, the truck rattling but running, and felt a flicker of hope. Maybe she could make this work. Maybe she wasn't as stuck as she thought. Over the next few weeks, Tuesdays at Cal's became part of Jenna's routine. She'd show up after her landscaping jobs, her jeans dusted with dirt, carrying a thermos of strong coffee and a bag of donuts from the gas station. Cal grumbled about the sugar, but he never turned down a glazed. They worked on her truck, replacing spark plugs, patching a leaky hose, and chasing down that elusive electrical drain. Jenna was no mechanic, but she was a quick learner, and Cal's gruff instructions, "Hold the flashlight steady, don't blind me," started to make sense. One morning while they were wrestling with a stubborn bolt, Jenna spotted a framed photo on a shelf, half hidden by a stack of manuals. It showed a younger Cal grinning beside a sleek muscle car, his arm around a woman with kind eyes and a wide smile. "Who's that?" Jenna asked, nodding toward the picture. Cal's hand stilled, and for a moment she thought she'd crossed a line. "My wife, Ellie," he said finally, his voice softer than she'd ever heard. "She passed 5 years ago. Loved cars almost as much as I did." "I'm sorry," Jenna said, not sure what else to say. He waved it off, turning back to the engine. "Ancient history. Hand me that ratchet." But the photo stayed with her, a glimpse into the man behind the scowl. Cal wasn't just a grumpy mechanic. He'd had a life, a love, a story. And maybe, just maybe, he saw a bit of his old fire in her. One day, a new face showed up at the garage. Tara Nguyen, a 19-year-old college kid with a bright smile and a beat-up bicycle that needed a new chain. Tara was a regular at the coffee shop where Jenna sometimes sold her flowers, and she lit up when she saw Jenna covered in grease. "Whoa, Jenna, you're a mechanic now," Tara teased, leaning her bike against the wall. "That's like totally badass." Jenna laughed, wiping her hands on her jeans. "Hardly. I'm just trying not to break anything. Cal rolled his eyes from under a Ford's hood. You two done yapping, some of us got work to do. Tara stuck around chattering about her classes and her dream of becoming a graphic designer. She was a breath of fresh air, her energy cutting through Cal's grumpiness like a sunbeam. When she saw Jenna struggling to tighten a lug nut, she jumped in saying, "Let me try. I've got like zero upper body strength, but I'm stubborn." Cal watched them, his lips twitching, in what might have been a smile. "You girls are going to run me out of business," he muttered. That afternoon, Tara had an idea. "Jenna, you should totally post about this on Insta," she said, waving her phone. "You and Cal fixing cars, your flowers, all of it. People eat up that small-town vibe." Jenna hesitated. "I'm not big on social media. I barely know how to use it." "I'll help," Tara said. "Trust me, it'll bring in customers." They shot a quick video, Jenna holding a wrench, Cal in the background pretending to scowl, and Tara narrating with a grin. "This is Roadside Bloom, where we fix your ride and make your day prettier." The post went up that night, and by morning it had 100 likes and a handful of comments from locals promising to swing by. Jenna couldn't believe it. Maybe Tara was onto something. As the weeks passed, Jenna and Cal fell into a rhythm. She brought a potted fern to the garage, saying it had spruced the place up. Cal grumbled, but set it on a windowsill, and she caught him watering it when he thought she wasn't looking. They swapped stories between jobs, Jenna's disastrous attempt to grow orchids, Cal's days drag racing in the 80s. He even taught her to listen to an engine saying every car's got a voice. You hear it, you'll know what it needs. Jenna tried it, closing her eyes, as a Chevy purred. It's thirsty," she said, feeling silly. "Like it needs oil or something." Cal raised an eyebrow. "Not bad, kid. Not bad." For the first time in months, Jenna felt like she was moving forward. Her landscaping gigs picked up thanks to Tara's social media push, and the truck was running better than ever. But the bills still loomed, and her landlord had just raised the rent. She was hanging on, but barely. Then, one scorching afternoon, a sleek black SUV pulled into the lot, kicking up gravel. A man in a crisp suit stepped out, his sunglasses reflecting the sun. He looked like he belonged in a boardroom, not a greasy garage. Cal emerged, wiping his hands, his face darkening. "Cal Thompson," the man said, extending a hand. "Elliot Baxter Auto Group. I've got a proposition for you." Jenna watched from the garage, a socket wrench in hand, as Cal crossed his arms. "What do you want?" Baxter Elliot smiled, all teeth. "I'm expanding my chain of repair shops. This location's perfect, right off the highway, good visibility. I'll buy your land, pay top dollar. You can retire, take it easy." Cal's jaw tightened. "Not interested. This place ain't for sale." Elliot chuckled, pulling out a business card. "Think it over, Pops. Time's moving on, and places like this, they don't last." He glanced at Jenna, his eyes flicking over her oil-stained overalls. "Nice help you got there. Things must be tight." Jenna's face burned, but she stayed quiet. Elliot climbed back into his SUV and drove off, leaving a cloud of dust. Cal stared after him, his fists clenched. "You okay?" Jenna asked, stepping closer. He grunted, heading back inside. "Fine. Just don't like snakes in suits." But she could see it in his eyes, the weight of the offer, the fear of losing what he'd built. And she felt it too. Her own business was teetering, and that night she got a call that tipped her over the edge. Her biggest landscaping client, a local winery, canceled their contract, saying they'd found a cheaper outfit. Jenna sat in her tiny apartment, staring at the stack of bills, and felt like she was drowning. The next day, at the garage, she was quiet, her heart not in it. When Cal snapped at her for handing him the wrong tool, she snapped back. "You don't have to bite my head off, Cal. I'm trying, okay?" He glared at her. "Trying ain't enough when you're dreaming big and living small. You think that flower truck idea of yours is gonna magically work? Wake up, kid. Life ain't a fairy tale." Jenna's eyes stung. "And you think hiding in this garage is living? You're so scared of change you'd rather let this place die than fight for it." She grabbed her bag and stormed out the fern left behind on the workbench. She drove aimlessly, ending up at a pull-off by the river. The truck idled, and she rested her head on the wheel, tears falling. Her dad's voice echoed in her mind. "Fix what you can, Misha. Let the rest go." But what if she couldn't fix anything? Not her business, not her truck, not herself. Her phone buzzed. It was Tara, her voice bright but worried. "Hey, you okay? Cal's all mopey and your plant's looking sad. Come back, Jenna. He needs you." "We both do." Jenna wiped her eyes, staring at the river glinting in the dusk. Tara was right. She couldn't run from this. She grabbed a notebook from her glove box, filled with sketches of her dream truck, a flower van, with a fold-down workbench, shelves for roses, and tools for quick fixes. It was crazy, but maybe crazy was what she needed. The next morning, she walked into the garage, notebook in hand. Cal was under a Mustang, only his boots visible. She cleared her throat. "Cal, I got something to show you." He slid out, eyeing her warily. "Thought you were done with this place." She shook her head, opening the notebook. "This is my idea." Roadside Bloom, a truck that delivers flowers and does roadside repairs. Oil changes, tire patches, the basics. And I want to build it here with you. We can make it work, Cal. Together. He took the notebook, flipping through the sketches. His face was unreadable, and for a moment she braced for rejection. Then he handed it back, his voice gruff. "That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. A flower shop on wheels." He paused, a slow grin breaking through. "But it just might be crazy enough to work." Jenna's heart soared. "Really?" "Don't make me say it twice," he said, grabbing a wrench. "Let's see what we got in the yard for parts." Over the next month, the garage buzzed with new energy. Jenna and Cal scavenged junkyard parts, welding and hammering late into the night. Tara helped paint the truck a bright teal with flowers curling along the sides and kept the social media posts coming. The videos went viral, drawing customers from as far as Lincoln. Jenna's landscaping business picked up, and Cal's garage was busier than it had been in years. One day, Elliot Baxter returned, his SUV gleaming. He leaned against it, smirking. "Changed your mind yet?" "Thompson." Cal crossed his arms, Jenna at his side. "Nope. And I ain't planning to." Elliot's eyes flicked to the teal truck, its Roadside Bloom logo sparkling in the sun. "Cute project," he said. "But you can't compete with progress." Jenna stepped forward, her voice steady. "Maybe not. But we're not trying to. We're just doing what we love, and people seem to like it. So thanks, but no thanks." Elliot's smirk faded. He nodded almost respectfully. "You got something special here. Don't screw it up." He drove off, and Jenna let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. That weekend, they held a launch party for Roadside Bloom. The lot was packed with locals, a bluegrass band playing under string lights. Tara handed out daisies, and Cal even cracked a smile as kids ran around with balloons. Jenna climbed onto the truck's tailgate, holding a mason jar of iced tea. "Thanks for coming, y'all," she said, her voice carrying over the crowd. "This truck's more than a business. It's a promise to fix what's broken, to make things a little prettier, and to keep going no matter what. So here's to new roads and new starts." The crowd cheered, and Cal raised his coffee mug from the sidelines. Later, as the party wound down, Jenna found him by the fern, now thriving in its pot. "Not bad, kid," he said, his voice rough but warm. "Not bad at all." She grinned. "Couldn't have done it without you, old man." He snorted, but his eyes were soft. "Get out of here. You got flowers to deliver." Jenna drove off in Roadside Bloom, the truck humming under her hands. She had a delivery in the next town, a bouquet of sunflowers for a bride and a quick oil change for her dad's pickup. The road stretched out golden in the morning light, and for the first time in forever, Jenna felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. Sometimes a broken truck isn't the end of the road. It's just the start of a new one.